and it's going to go start. I'll tell you if it won. All right, guys, we're here at our podcast, and Dr. Marius Ruja and myself, Dr. Alex Jimenez, we're going to be discussing metabolic syndrome today. Today, it's an important day because metabolic syndrome it affects so many people in our little town, which is no longer actually, we're the 19th largest city in the United States. So very proud of that. And what we're going to do is we're going to be pointing out some issues regarding metabolic syndrome and how it affects many people in our community's lives. Dr. Ruja is going to cover some points. I'm going to cover some points, and we're going to try to mix it up as we go through the process. Now, if you like what we talk about and it becomes something important, or if you want us to write about something or speak about something that's very specific, just go right down the bottom and hit that little button and click it to subscribe. And then also, if you can hit the little button bell so that you'll be the first to know exactly when we actually go live, and we can actually have interaction as we go through these weeks of podcasting. Well, one of the first things we're going to do is we're going to define what is metabolic syndrome. Metabolic syndrome has been known as a disorder that is affecting about 25 to 30% of the population. Some studies are actually presenting it at 23. We actually, in our office here in El Paso, noticed that the numbers are really high. The disorder is classified by having belly fat, that is making your belly that's pretty big. Standards have been used to come up with that, as well as increasing in high blood pressure. It really is the disorder that makes you feel really crummy. Metabolic disorders are one that affect us as the Latino population, and we have a very mixed population, but it's heavy in the Latin American population. But having said that, it affects everyone cross-board. Another point that it has is actually high triglycerides. High triglycerides have been noted in the blood work of individuals. So not only do you have high fat around the belly, you also have high blood pressure, you have triglycerides are high, and you have an increased blood glucose level, or standard blood, or a fasting blood glucose in your metabolic panels, or even in your blood panels. The other thing is that we also notice a lower HDL evaluation, and in this process, what we notice is that we can see that the HDL, which is the good one, is actually low in the process. Now, Mario, can you go ahead and talk about a little bit about what you have also noticed in the issues of metabolic disorders?
Yeah, Alex, again, thank you again, listeners. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, get involved, get with the program, and because this is your show, not ours. What we're here to do is really empower you with knowledge, but at the same time, I would say let's make it fun and interactive, because some of these topics get really boring quick. But in reality, I would say to you, these are critical issues that we're going to look at. First of all, what I would say is let's look at high blood pressure. These are things that, number one, high blood pressure, anything over 140 or 180, those are high risk factors. So let's take it serious. 140 higher than 90. That means the big number and a small number. Everybody understands that. Like 120 over 80. You're talking about 140 over 90 and higher. Very, very high risk. Or 180 over 120. So again, this is the American Heart Association. Have these stats to look at. We need to take these things serious. The other component that I would say, just like Alex talked about, is this. I mean, studies are coming out right now. Again, metabolic syndrome, clinical and policy implications of the new silent killer. This is for real, guys. This is for real. This is not just, I just need to lose 10 pounds or 20 pounds. We're looking at two risk factors. Number one, we're looking at belly fat, or in this case, they're talking about truncal obesity. It's a fancy word for, you know what? My gut is over my belt.
Yeah,
okay?
Yes.
That's it. And the other factor is insulin resistance.
Yes.
What that means in common language, Alex and listeners, bottom line is I'm feeling tired, I'm feeling weak, and I keep eating. I mean, I cannot stop eating, and I'm still tired.
Yeah.
So those two factors in itself, again, metabolic syndrome, the word syndrome, when we're talking about medicine, you're talking about 2, 3, 4, 5 issues together, okay? So this is what we're talking about. Number one, we're talking about, high blood pressure. That's number one. Number two, belly fat. Number three, sugar issues. Number 4, high triglycerides. And then the other one is low, healthy, high density lipids.
Lipoproteins, yeah.
Exactly.
Mario,
so those are again the things that we're looking at. And Alex, the silent killer that we're dealing with today that we just want to motivate people to engage in. So this is not a passive listening.
Mm-hmm.
This is interactive. We're going to give our listeners not only the problem, we're going to engage them in the solution and implementation, correct?
Correct. That's what we're going to be talking about. One of the ways that we actually assess this blood glucose is doing a metabolic panel. Any of your doctors can do this, and one of the problem was that before you even would do a metabolic panel, you can even determine this by yourself. If you just feel like you have spikes in sugar, you sometimes feel after you eat sometimes, and your pancreas produces the insulin. The first symptom is you fall asleep. The insulin is the body produces the pancreas fires off the insulin trying to lower the blood glucose and overshoots and puts you to sleep. That's one sign. The belly fat is also high blood pressure. When people have high blood pressure, you feel it. But if you're going to do a lab work, you're going to actually see the triglycerides and the lower HDLs in the process. In this process, what we noticed is that many times people think cholesterol has a lot to do with that because we didn't speak about it. But cholesterol is, according to the studies, is not a factor in metabolic disorders, in metabolic syndrome per se. It's actually the lower HDL process that actually comes in there and makes the issue happen. Now, in the process of it, there's 2 main components that affect people's lives in metabolic syndrome that we have to put under control, which is the premise of everything we're going to be talking about. And it's going to be inflammation, and blood sugar changes. So what we do this is inflammation is like swollen, toxic foods. The blood sugar issue is insulin sensitivity. The pancreas is just winging at it, trying to figure out what to do with it. And we're going to come up with good ways. One of the things that you've also noticed is when should someone notice, Mario? When do they typically notice that they have metabolic syndrome?
Well, Alex, again, let's deal with reality. Number one, in our community and our society overall, and these are real factors in being mindful and aware, is a very sedentary lifestyle.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. That's number one, and this automatically rolls over into a lack of exercise, obviously, and then when you're very sedentary, you have a huge stress pattern.
Huge.
Okay, huge stress pattern, and again, with that, what I have seen working with our patients and clients and life coaching that I do is this: your stress pattern is overloaded with a sedentary lifestyle. Then it affects your sleep pattern. So now you're not sleeping well, and then to function during the day, you have a huge high carb diet. I mean, we're talking about eating chips, eating Snickers, sugar, processed foods, and all of that together, Alex. Again, at the end of the day, how do most of us, or most of the people, the people that we want to help, are dealing with their stress? They're going out to have a couple of cold ones, wine, drinks, mixed drinks at the end of the day so they can unwind, and a large majority of them are smoking at the same time. Those, again, let's look at science now. If we connect this to the risk factors again here, and you can see it in our panel, again, lifestyle factors, the 2 most dangerous ones, Alex, that I've seen again are number one, smoking and heavy drinking together create a very high ratio for men, but in women, it almost triples or quadruples that.
Yeah, the odds ratio is way higher in the women. Yeah.
Huge. So again, looking at that right there, that's a point. This is an area for women right here.
Yes, sir.
4.4. And then it goes lower than that. Again, poor diet and heavy drinking, and smoking and physical inactivity. Those are factors too. But the major one, the star, is the one that's dealing with smoking and heavy drinking at the same time. And so that's what I'd like to share in terms of what are the major points
that affect the metabolic.
Yeah. I mean, so again, yes, we do really motivate and inspire the our listeners to go and get lab work and go and get these the data, the fasting blood sugar, A1C, all of those. We definitely want to do that. But again, if you just look at your lifestyle, just be real, be objective. Ask yourself, am I drinking every day? Am I smoking every day? Am I very sedentary? So I drive and then I go to work and I'm sitting down for 6 to 8 hours. Then I drive again, you're sitting down, then you go home and you watch TV. And then you're eating a lot of carbs, right? A lot of breads, a lot of processed foods. Or on your way home, you stop to go through the drive-through to get what? A Happy Meal. I would say it is a killer meal, right? With fries, again, high oils, processed, fried, all of that. And then you're eating it in your car while you're sitting to go home.
Yeah.
And now you're crashing.
Yes,
right?
yes,
so obviously you're not going to go work out.
Yes.
You're not, because your insulin just is crushing it, is peaking, and then you are going to get tired. So that's what I see.
What I've noticed is that what I tell my patients, I use examples, and a good example is one that says, hey, if you would go to McDonald's and you ate about a six, let's say a chicken nugget of 20 and then a Coke, and you did this 3 times a day, and you did this for 20 years, and ultimately you did some really bad habits like a lot of drinking and alcohol, and then you really started gaining some weight over a period of time. You're going to notice, as Mario was mentioning right there, is that the sedentary lifestyle after a period of time makes you gain 5 pounds a year. Now, as you notice, with this increase in body weight, you're going to find out that you're going to end up in metabolic syndrome from just the mere fact of not having activity. It's just people who sit over 8 hours a day have 400 times the chance of having risk of heart disease. So these are the things. So inactivity is a big one, as you noticed. And that's one of the things that I try to tell everyone that.
And let me say this, because this is a trend. This is a trend. Sitting is the new smoking.
Yeah.
Sitting is the new smoking. So if you go back 20, 30 years ago, and the big deal was smoking, tobacco, again, all of those ramifications in terms of health, destruction of your system, and then paying for your health later,
yes,
and waking up to it. Now it's even more prevalent when we're talking about obesity, all the way from childhood obesity to youth and adult obesity. There's a lot of sedentary. So I really want to stress that, as you mentioned, Alex, we want to make our conversation today real, practical, informative, and motivational. So in terms of that, sedentary, sitting down, is the new smoking.
Yes, it is. Absolutely. It causes so many problems, not only from the lack of movement, from the circulation. The bottom line is we got to get moving. And if we get moving, we start breaking down these products. But we do end up having a large amount of collection of toxins in our body, which is the second part of it. It's not just carbohydrates, it's inflammation. So the carbohydrates affects the insulin issue, but the inflammation that is actually occurring in the body, that also has to be to be worked with. And a lot of the foods, a lot of the processed foods, the oils that we have are the things that affect it. Stress levels. Today we have a lot of stress. If a person doesn't sleep, you can't process, your body can't detoxify at night. So we need to work with stress issues. Other issues are going to be exercise. How much do we exercise? Well, we certainly don't to bode the world of living like Arnold and pushing weights and doing those kind of things that hurt our joints, but we do have to do cardio. Cardio is very important in the process of restoring normal motion. The body's really, really, really smart. It knows how to fix itself. We just got to stop toxifying it with too much carbohydrates and too many inflammatory foods. Don't you think, Mario?
Absolutely. Another area that I'd like to share with our listeners and viewers is the transition, a simple transition from a high inflammatory system. And again, inflammation, think about this. When you get injured, Alex, when you get injured, let's say you twist your ankle. And I played college soccer, and I played again after that, and I know you're an athlete. Our children are athletes. The thing is this: when you have an injury, the first thing that the body does is it protects itself, and you get inflammation. Okay, that's trauma. So now we're dealing with biomechanical trauma, but the trauma that we're talking about today in metabolic syndrome is a systemic metabolic trauma. So the way that our bodies reacts to this trauma that's induced. So what that means is it's not used to our bodies, our genetic makeup, and what we are looking at optimal function. It is not used to low grade foods, processed foods, okay? Mm-hmm. And we are made to walk and run. We're bipeds, mm-hmm. okay? So the minute we go against our genetic makeup in our system, our bodies and our metabolism fights back. And the way it fights back, it creates inflammation. And this is why we see the signature sign, okay, of metabolic syndrome. It doesn't mean that everyone has it, Alex. Mm-hmm. Just because you have a large abdomen or, again, a large gut, it doesn't mean that you have metabolic syndrome. But it does mean that you need to start thinking about it, because that is inflammation, and that is high stress on your body. And the things that we're looking at, again, let's convert that. So whatever creates the problem, let's invert it. Okay, and let's do the opposite.
Absolutely.
So if we're talking about high processed foods, let's go to raw. Let's go to juicing. Let's go to unprocessed foods.
Yes.
That's so it's very simple. You don't have to have a PhD and a master's in nutrition and all of these things. Let's get down to it. So if fried foods are bad, then what happens? Whole foods, raw foods, juicing is excellent.
Let me ask you, Mario, because I've noticed that when people that we've been taught about fats and oils, a lot of times we've been told that certain oils are the best, certain oils are the worst. The three oils that are the best are coconut oil. It's going to be one of those polyunsaturated.
I love coconut
oil.
Yeah.
You have olive oil, okay?
Yeah.
And you have avocado oil. Those are the only ones that are recommendable. The corn oil, the safflower, the sesame seeds oil. These oils are oils that cause inflammation. So one of the first thing is to cook with different types of oils. We got to stop the carbohydrates. We got to stop the inflammation. When we deal with this thing, we actually increase the ability of the bodies to recover. The arteries will recover. The heart recovers. We can prevent strokes from actually happening. Heart disease is a process that takes years to develop, but we can reverse it with these oils and help the person analyze their lifestyle. You were mentioning sleep apnea, Mario, correct?
Correct.
Sleep apnea is one of those things that when you have a big belly and you can't find a comfortable position, you don't rest, you don't detoxify. If you don't, that stuff starts building up in the body, and before you know it, we start getting really, really sick. The
brain, when you're talking about detoxifying, a lot of people, and I want to just share this, and we can talk about it even more on later shows, and we are going to have other shows, correct, Alex?
Mario, we're just beginning.
Okay, just want to make sure because I feel
Mario, each one of these sections that we are talking about, we need to expand upon, whether it's carbohydrate intake, metabolic processes, ketogenic diets, any sort of fasting. We're going to open up the forum on each one of these, and we're going to discuss it.
I feel the reason I say that, and I'm sure our listeners are thinking about it, is we're trying to swallow an elephant. Okay, this is a beast. Okay, this is it's like an octopus. It has like tentacles everywhere. So what I look at when you're talking about detoxifying, most people think about detox like that colon detox. Everyone's like, "Ooh, I'm doing a colon detox," and the other one is again, the organs of filtration, the ones that really, really are important are what? Liver, right? And now when we're talking about metabolic syndrome, this is where you have that fatty liver, Alex, fatty liver, right?
There's that non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, a whole disorder that did not exist.
Whole new. This is like a new diagnoses. This is like a new kid on the block that's causing havoc. The other one is fatty pancreas.
Mario, how can children have cirrhosis of the liver?
Come on.
They have it with non-alcoholic fat.
Yes.
How do they do it? But the process is the sugar, the processed foods.
Exactly. And this is why our show is real, and we're going to talk about real things. Number one, whatever the adults are eating, the children are eating also, correct? So who's going shopping? You don't have a 10-year-old going shopping, driving himself and going down aisle 3, and picking up carbs, like lettuce, Fruit Loops and all of that. They're not doing that. You know what? Mama's driving. So we got to deal with mama. Who's cooking? So again, those are issues that you are perfectly on point, tip of the spear, Alex. Yes, the children are getting crushed. And this is where they're not able to do 10 push-ups to save their life, even in high school. I'll do sports physicals to many high schools and middle schools at the same time. So you're talking about fatty, non-alcohol liver, okay? Fatty pancreas. So all of a sudden that visceral fat, that fat around the organs becomes another organ. It produces, Alex, its own hormones.
Absolutely.
That's like another being inside of you.
It's so bad, Mario, that what happens is the cortisols that are produced, the hormone imbalances, is being produced by the fat. And the fat is actually controlling our metabolic processes and really running havoc. The fat infiltrates the pancreas, as you said. The fat infiltrates the liver. The fat infiltrates the muscle. It sits in between the abdomen, in between the muscles, above it and beyond it. By the time that we notice it, it's actually the belly fat. So by that time, we've noticed a situation where now the body has become immense in a certain area. Their waist was once 32, 30, 34. Now it's above a 40, and they don't know why. That fat is actually causing so much stress. We got to bring it down, which really gives us an understanding, because if we want to live a great life and we want to kind of understand how the body metabolism works, we have to trust the body. The body can actually recover in this process. If you give it the right tools, it will be able to recover. Now, one of the things that I've noticed is that if you put a person on a style of food eating processes, and we're going to discuss right now a little bit, is the ketogenic diet, along with a time-limiting eating window, we can actually prevent and reverse the whole process. Mari's got some numbers up here we'll take a look at. We can actually see what is actually defined as. When you're talking about, again, abdominal fat, Alex, I just want to show some stats. This is what we're talking about. Let's give our listeners and viewers objective, useful, like something that they can go home and go, whoa. Yeah, blood pressure. Pressure, yes.
Blood pressure. This is easy. Okay, number one, this is what we're talking about. For men, anything over 40 inches in terms of your belt, not good.
No,
not good. For women, anything over 35.
Exactly.
Okay, 36, 35. So those are markers that I would like to share. Again, this is data. So we would like to share ideas, but also back it up with diagnostic data of abdominal values.
The ones I just marked there are ones that would be getting it from blood work, and we could easily do it, and a blood assay could actually, or blood assessment can actually see that. So what we can see is that when you see a actually a blood glucose of greater than 100 fasting, and typically fasting means 8 hours prior to eating to 12 hours. Optimally, your body will balance it out. The organ that balances out your blood sugar not only is in combination with your liver and your pancreas, but your cellular metabolism establishes typically less than 100, which is optimal. The triglycerides, this one can go up very quickly and very, very, very suddenly. You eat a lot of fats, and that number skyrockets. So by taking a diet that is in, let's say, a ketogenic diet, which you avoid carbohydrates to the extent that you should really think about your carbohydrates. If you think about your carbohydrates, you really, really start taking control of this. Here's the bottom line. When I've come to the realization is you really have to know why you're eating the carbohydrate. You got to know. You got to be mindful of the carbohydrate. If you pick the carbohydrate out and you say, this is what I do not want to eat, well, then ultimately your body will start learning to work with the fats and the proteins and eliminating the causes of insulin resistance, okay? So regular exercise is another thing. You've noticed some other things, Mario. You've picked up on some good concepts.
Yeah, and this is where we have some really power tools. Okay, so yeah, we're talking about some very specific areas that are again negative. Let's really focus on a positive end.
Let's go positive. Okay, what can we do? How can we fix it?
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, let's talk about what we are responsible, and what we can control. Again, in life, there are many things you can't control. You can't. You can't control your genetics. You can't control your environment as much as we want to. Okay? So the things that we can control is something that you mentioned. I love the word mindful. Mindful means that you are aware, conscious, and responsible and responsive, proactive instead of reactive to your own life every day. So you wake up every morning with a purpose. So these are the things that I would say positive actions create positive outcomes. Number one, get up in the morning before 6 o'clock. I prefer to say around 4:35. Okay? Why? Because that will give you a time to focus, to exercise in the peak performance time when your testosterone is the highest, and some of the areas, you're priming your body. Okay, so your metabolism, you're creating this again, engine, you're warming it up, you're getting it ready, so then you burn calories throughout the day. Okay, don't work out 2 hours before you go to sleep. Okay, so that's number one. That one you can do. That one you can do. Number two, start to eat more non-processed foods, raw, steamed vegetables, Mediterranean, which means what? A huge portion of salads, a small portion of meats, and a very, very small portion of carbs.
Yes.
Okay.
It's the carbs. We got to stop.
It's the carbs.
Study after study, no matter who the doctor is, Dr. Houston, who's developed a understanding of new methods that is actually putting the whole cardio medicine arena on its head. It's limited to carbohydrates. The limits of carbohydrates as causing a huge amount of damage to our arteries, our veins. And if we can limit that, and we can be mindful of the type of carbohydrates we have and limit the amount we have, we're on the right road.
Yeah, and if you're not, again, carbs, as we call them in the sports world, carbo loading. Again, you mentioned earlier, Alex, carbo loading has to have a purpose. So if you're running a marathon tomorrow,
you need carbs.
You're not going to make it. You're going to crash and burn.
We need them.
Okay? Again, my question is, are you jogging to work tomorrow?
No,
you're not. You're sitting in your car. So again, please minimize the carbs. The other thing is, as we know, and again, we want to educate our listeners and viewers, carbs turn into sugars.
Yep.
Okay? Sugars. So it's like eating, again, I educate the clients, the patients, the people around me, even athletes, okay? 5 grams of sugar equals to 1 teaspoon, okay, of sugar. It's like white sugar. You might as well just take a teaspoon, put in your mouth. So if you're talking about when you read the label, start reading the label. Yeah. If you see 20 grams of sugar and you go, wow, now that is 5 teaspoons of sugar in your mouth.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
so again, we need to be mindful.
It's a lot of sugar, Mark.
That's a lot of sugar. Get a bag and start eating it, start eating it. But again, we need to put in perspective because we are not mindful. So we drink that drink and it says, oh, it only has 16 grams of sugar. Mm-hmm. Okay, 16 grams is a lot.
So here's the take that I'm getting from this, Mario. Obviously, the carbohydrates are good, but how can the body kind of eliminate? That's a question.
No, they're not good.
That's
carbs are not good.
They're not good. Those not good. And what happens is that we have to eliminate the window of time. So what we've learned about over the last, and you see it everywhere on YouTube, is the ketogenic diet. The ketogenic diet has the greatest amount of research in the body's ability for the body to recover. The ketogenic diet is one that limits carbohydrates to actually the least possible denominator, to the point where you're on fats and proteins and good vegetables and good fiber. Your body will restore its normal blood sugar. The liver kicks in and actually makes sure that it raises the blood glucose to the same levels that it should be to survive. We need to have it at about 100 milligrams per deciliter as a standard. And the liver is the organ that restores that. But it does need to kind of turn itself on because typically it gets used to the food of carbohydrates, and the insulin battle between the pancreas and the liver is one that leads to metabolic syndrome. If we start with the ketogenic diet and we stop with or a version of a fasting type of diet or time-limited diet, we have the best tools that we need to be able to lower the triglycerides, increase the HDLs. There is no other diet that will increase your HDLs than a diet that is ketogenic.
Yeah.
The ketogenic increases the immune system. It increases the metabolic processes in the brain. It stops dementia. It actually creates awareness. So realistically, between the two diets, which is the ketogenic diet and the fasting diet of different versions, we can basically help the process of metabolic syndrome. The body will restore itself if it's given the chance. If not, we're going to end up with a massive amount of disease, cardiac issues, heart problems, and a lot of other physiological issues that we're going to discuss right now. Mario, what are the things that you've noticed that we can do in terms of helping understand how to recover from a metabolic syndrome?
Recovery, recovery, recovery. We are in a perpetual recovery system, Alex. Number one, sleep is our recovery powerhouse, okay? If you're an athlete, some of the athletes that I work with and that I consult with, they're sleeping 8 to 10 hours a day.
Beautiful.
Okay? What's happening is they sleep, they work out, they get up, and then they take another nap in midday. You've got to recover. Life is about recovery. Okay? When I do life coaching and those areas which deal with mindset and beliefs, everything's about recovery. Every time you fail, get up. Mentally, emotionally, physically, you've got to do that. So when we're talking about metabolic syndrome, Alex, this is what I would say. Get your mind straight. Get it dialed in, tuned in, and focused. The way to do that is through meditation. Okay? Take 10 to 5 minutes a day. Turn off your cell phone. Stop waking up, and the first thing you see in the morning is your Facebook account. Who loves you, baby? How many likes do you have? Okay? And your Instagram. And now your brain is just torched. Yes. It is torched. So that moment you need to honor. That first 30 minutes of your life, begin it with positive energy. And what it means is be still, be quiet, be at peace, love yourself, visualize the best day of your life, breathe. You've got to learn to breathe, because in a state of metabolic syndrome, or what I call stress, anxiety, depression, and high adrenals, Alex, okay, we're not breathing, we are gasping. So at that point, I would say sleep is incredible. Put your cell phone in the kitchen, get it away from your body, turn it off, get a real alarm clock. I know they have become extinct. You may need to go to Goodwill. Why don't you go to Goodwill and Savers to get an alarm clock? Because I don't think they make them anymore.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
They do,
Oh, they
but
do?
they're kind
Okay.
of the dollar store.
Oh, dollar store. Ooh, my bad. Dollar store it is. Okay, we'll pick
Nothing
two
wrong
of them.
with dollar store, but
Nothing wrong.
You'll find those little watches.
Good. So get an alarm clock. Get away from the cell phone. In the morning, start to prime your brain, your mind, your attitude. Now you're not in this reactive phase to where the first thing you do out of bed, you're rushing to rush to be late, and then you're eating a burrito, you're eating, huevos con chorizo, and you're eating, all these, the drive-through 2-for-1, croissant and all of these things. So now all of a sudden you allow yourself to be focused and not to eat until a 12 to 18 hour period, which you call and we call intermittent fasting. So what that does is it allows your metabolic process to reset. The word is reset and refunction at the highest level. And that controls and has a very positive statistics and research has shown all the way from Johns Hopkins to Harvard and many, many other ones in the world have shown that it has a positive effect on your hormones, positive effect on cortisol, on dopamine, on serotonin, on all of these very critical platforms of function, okay? And also it has a very positive outcome on dementia and Parkinson's, anger management, and self-awareness, and what I call happiness. You have to be happy, because if you're not, you're chasing a stimulant, and that stimulant in our society is what, Alex? Food.
Food. As you mentioned that, a lot there's the new studies indicating how a diet that is low in carbohydrates or intermittent fasting or even a ketogenic diet actually improves the function of the brain. How does it do that? Well, the question is, at the cellular level, what's the engine that actually makes things better? Well, the engine that produces the energy in the body is the mitochondria. The mitochondria is at the source of all the ability to rectify. It's an amazing structure that basically will burn it all off and then rectify it. If we don't let that mitochondria rest, it's almost like you cut the grass and you got to come in, and as soon as you walk inside, you're to rest, to drink your lemonade or whatever you're going to drink, and all of a sudden the person tells you, go cut it again. And then you come in after 2 hours real exhausted, and you kind of go in and it tells you, cut it again, and cut it again, and cut it again. And before you know it, the body starts failing out. It needs time to rest and recover. That's what intermittent fasting does. If you stop the use of taking carbohydrates for a period of time, and you limit actually the food intake, do an intermittent fasting, and allow the window of time between you eat and you don't eat, and make the window smaller as you become more skill set in the ability. You start, let's say, at 8-hour window of only eating, then you can work it to 6 hours. Typically, the body starts becoming really, really tuned, and also rectifies the brain function, and also rectifies all the things that Mario mentioned. You will notice that when you have a ketogenic diet, it may seem counterintuitive that you won't sleep, but you're going to get the best sleep possible. It's an amazing process that actually you recover. But it seems like we want to have, Latinos love, and we all love to snack, and we all love the ability to kind of eat something. We all humans just nibble and nibble and nibble. Nibbling is basically pointing the finger back to the guy who cut the grass and say, back to cutting the grass. Back to cutting the grass. It needs time to rest, and that's what you're mentioning.
Yeah. I personally, because we have to be mentors, and we have to point the way. For myself, I would say approximately 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I changed and shifted myself because I was not the best of me. Mm-hmm. I wasn't showing up to the game in the clinic and in front of my family in terms of my body. My 10-year-old Cristiano was looking at me, and this was like a crazy story. He looked at me and he goes, that's little Jimmy. I go, what?
You ate somebody? What do you mean?
Yeah, Alex. And then his big brother Gabriel, he looks at it and then he pokes at me. Like, yeah, that's right.
Metabolic syndrome.
Yeah.
At least
so
part of
so
it.
I go, yeah. So I looked and I go, okay, that's enough. This is enough. Enough is enough. I'm being ridiculed by my own kids, and they're athletes and I was an athlete. So I shifted. And the one thing that I did immediately was this. I started intermittent fasting. That's it. The other thing that I did was I started to eat vegetarian. Okay, I was like, right now I'm in that shift of pescatarian, vegetarian kind of shift. And again, I would say 75% of what I eat is vegetarian. Okay, and then I mix it sometimes. I mean, I don't try to go extremes, right? But that created a very, very impactful neurofeedback to me. And when I did that, let me tell you, the first 8 hours, it was pure hell. I mean, I'm going to tell you, It was like my body was screaming. It was screaming.
Mario, those fat cells attack you. They basically start dumping hormones on you.
Oh my! It was like, what are you doing? Are you nuts? You're gonna die. You are gonna die.
That's what
eat.
That's
right
what metabolic
now.
syndrome makes you feel like you're dying.
Thank you. Yeah, and I said, no, I will not. I will not. I'm gonna push through. Sometimes you got to get angry, Alex. You got to get angry.
Enough.
Enough is enough. So I went through it. I went through 12 hours. And let me say this. Once you go through that first cycle, it is like going to the promised land.
It's over.
Let me tell you,
It's
your
over,
body resets. And I was in the zone. I was like, whoa. Thank you.
You know what, Mario? They have
zone.
They have a name for this thing when you go physiological. When your body erupts and all the cells go counter, they basically start. Hey, where's my food? Where's my carbohydrates? Well, it's kind of interesting that the sound of the keto flu in today's world is what you have. You have the keto flu. You really feel sick. And it lasts sometimes between 24 to 48 hours. But on the other side, you have nirvana.
This is, you know what? And the word that I like to use with again, a lot of my patients and clients is addiction.
You're addicted to sugar.
Addicted.
That's right. You're addicted.
And studies have shown, and in our next conversations, and we're going to have next conversations, Alex, okay? Let me tell you, we're going to talk about sugar.
A lot.
Sugar, okay? Sugar is more addictive than cocaine, baby.
It is.
Yes, it is.
You know what?
Yes, it is.
It is.
And when you come off of that, oh, my God, you want to rip people's head off. If you want to talk about anger management, Alex, let me tell you about anger management. It's like a pit bull, and you know what? You're gnawing at the bone, and you're looking for the steak, and someone just took the bone away from you, and you want to rip their arm off. Let me tell you, that addiction.
Mario, can you think clearly when you're having the keto flu?
Oh, come on. Keto flu, I call it a keto virus. Forget the flu, baby. I'm talking about no. You're being too kind, Alex. This is addiction.
Your brain it feels like it's going to explode.
Your
like
brain,
a headache. It's from Wonderland.
Yes, I don't know about Wonderland, but it's like flames, Alex, flames. Yeah. So this is where that whole thing again, and you see this in a lot of men and women. When their blood glucose drops, like in that hypoglycemic phase, they're irritable. They're nasty. It's like, whoa, you know that commercial, Snickers satisfies me? Wow, it doesn't satisfy you. It's going to rip you because now that addiction, it's like you got to get that next hit of sugar. So that's that. I really want us to, we got to talk more about that.
Yeah, we're going to talk a lot about it over the next couple of weeks. And there are systems out there. There are studies at the University of Southern California that are being forged today that are specializing in the art and the science of fasting. Fasting is one of those things that has been around since the beginning of time. The Egyptians did it. All parochial people, religious protocols require or have some sort of fasting in their history.
Jesus did it in the Bible. I mean, it's everywhere.
Why, Mario?
Fasting.
Because it makes everything work better. It makes the brain clear, and it works out the issues. In today's world, there's some products out there that are very good for fasting. The big ones, and we'll discuss it a lot of it soon. It's the Prolon system. The Prolon system is one that actually goes into a ketogenic diet, literally, and is a fast, and is a system that what they've noticed when you do this Prolon procedure, you ultimately end up having the same processes as fasting, and you change the body. The results are immense. Decrease in diabetes, decrease in cancers, decrease in neurodegenerative disorder. It's crazy.
It's amazing.
But what's the basis of causing all this drama? Well, the carbohydrates. So when we eat the carbohydrate has to be limited. It has to be a very mindful attack on the carbohydrate. Like if you're eating it, there's better be a reason for it. And you're going to notice that as you first start going through the ketogenic diet, your body starts pulling the blood sugar and the blood glucose down. When it's down, then it pulls it out of the pancreas. The pancreas loses the fat. Then the liver loses the fat. And after that, then the muscle loses the fat. So that process, as it starts consuming the belly fat, you'll start noticing changes in your body. The issues are far-reaching. There are a lot of bad diseases that happen from excessive carbohydrates and metabolic syndrome. So we're here to kind of go over those things. There's some, physical issues that actually happen, Some body morphic issues for males. Men get what? What do they get? Well, they sometimes get some extra man boobs or something.
Yeah,
belly
exactly.
fat and man boobs.
Exactly.
Sign of
there are many other areas that sag,
like
Alex.
No.
There's a lot of sagging going on. Okay.
No, we need help. We need to be better.
So this is the term that I'd like for us to kind of bring out and really drive home in our closing, in our what I call a button up and focusing ourselves on an action is this. It's all about lifestyle changes. This is not a miracle. This is not luck. This is not for the rich and famous. It's for everyone. It's about lifestyle changes. We are here. Alex and myself are here to motivate, to educate, to inspire, and to support your lifestyle change
and your journey to better health. I mean, it's we're here and we're going to make it happen. If what you liked today was something that you appreciated, if it's something that you like, reach down that little area, a little bit right down there. You'll see a little bell. You'll be able to notice it. If you want to find my best buddy Mario over here, he's got a clinic over here on the central side of town. It's located at the 2630 Montana. You got the phone number. He's got rujahealth.com.
Yeah.
What we can do is we can actually assess this scenario where you can call us at any given time. You can also get a hold of myself in this process, and you can get us here in over this region over here. I just put it there. It's on this little soul. We're there, and we can come to help you. So our goal, we're located today at a wonderful facility. It's one of the largest CrossFit centers in El Paso, and we're really lucky to have this kind of facility and have the ability to help so many people and the changes that happen in their lives. So we also work out of here with Danny Alvarado, who's one of the training health coaches, and he's going to be part of our show on a regular basis. So you got it from us, and we got to check out as you can see, but we'll talk to you guys in a few. And if there's anything that you guys have, give us a call, and we will be able to assist you. God bless.